And we are on.
All right.
Welcome everybody. This is our non-zeroth first episode of, I guess, the thing we're calling Scuttlebutt.
Yeah.
I am Kieran,
I'm Max.
and this is our hilarious attempts at talking about stuff in interesting ways.
Max and Kieran talk every week. Dumb movies and fun games. Shady opinions you wouldn't see. Middle-aged, lazy, kinda lame. The only goal is to chuckle at stuff. Roll their eyes at good enough. Talk bad movies and TV shows. Sharing some highs and lows. Max and Kieran.
All right.
That's enough of that.
Yep. I think about 2 verses is about as far as we get. How has your week been, man?
Yeah, pretty decent. Yeah. Decided to take today off. Just, rando PTO.
Nice.
That's what I like to do.
Nice. Very progressive, very European of you.
Oh yeah,
no Fridays off.
I get so much time off, humble brag, that I just take I just carve out lots of 3 and 4 day weekends throughout the year. So works out pretty nice when I don't have like some big 2-week vacation planned. So it's just like lots of little mini vacations. So yeah, chilling out. How about you?
Kind of samesies. Yeah, my work I've been offering Friday half days every couple of Fridays this summer.
Nice.
And so yeah, we did get off a little bit early today. I've been on a couple different calls. Yeah, I don't know. We got a family friend visiting, so that's why I'm in the bedroom.
Gotcha.
And this is the first day of summer for at least my son.
Nice.
Pretty cool. So they are totally jazzed. I'm expecting quite a lot more background noise in my life in general for the next 2.5 months. And yeah, I don't know. Doing anything fun this summer?
Yeah, I've actually got going to Albuquerque for a few days next month, hang out with my friend. Actually, yeah, in August. Next month, I'm going down to Santa Barbara for our my 15th wedding anniversary.
Oh wow, you guys got married in Santa Barbara?
No, we got married right here in our town, down
Okay.
at the city hall.
Right on. All right, but going for a little kind of like 15-year anniversary.
Yeah,
That sounds
yeah.
lovely. I'm gonna be hitting. Gosh, we're hitting.
You got a couple years on me, I think.
We're hitting 20 years in a couple years here.
Nice.
Wow. Yes, my wife is awesome. Love her. God help her if she ever listens to this.
She won't.
Probably not. We'll see. Yeah. So we're trying to get together. We're trying to like basically watch fun stuff, possibly dumb stuff, play fun and dumb stuff, talk about that, and just kind of just lame middle-aged white dude stuff. Yeah.
Have you gotten your kids into RPGs yet?
I mean, there's a really cool local workshop, and in fact, I'll even plug them a bit. It's called Hero Workshop here in West LA. That one of our friends runs, and it's like a D&D camp, like after school D&D, and starting a whole summer D&D camp program. And both my kids are pretty involved in it and love it to pieces, to the point where like, oh yeah, D&D is just a thing we do every now and then. That's just fun. Like they're not like obsessive. It's just like a part of their lives, just for hoots. And my daughter's probably the more creative one, and is, I think, she's only 10, so she's not necessarily getting into the nerdiness of it in a huge way, but very creative, very imaginative. It's been a while though since I've run anything for them.
Yeah.
When they were younger, I was doing a lot of kind of kid style D&D games, And since they've kind of leveled up to regular D&D and this workshop has sort of taken off, that's what they've been doing. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't ever want to be like that nerd dad that's like, damn it, nerd kids, you're gonna like all the nerdy shit that I like. Like I can't imagine like anything worse. So I'm very much try to like let them discover. I mean, I'm always talking about the things that I love, but like it's very much like not trying to kind of jam it down their throats.
I'm reminded of that Onion article about
Yeah.
the father who's, ruining his daughter's chances of ever connecting with her, people her own age by getting her entirely into all of the music and films and TV shows from when he was young.
I
Just kind of what my parents did to me.
yeah.
There's a mountain of like 80s movies that I never saw because I mean, most of them, were maybe a little too adult for me at the time, but because my dad was showing me Godfather and like French Connection and
Pretty
just
cool though.
Blue Velvet.
Yeah.
Things 12-year-olds are probably you wouldn't show a 12-year-old now, but was cool in 1989, I guess.
I mean, I'm Gen X too, right? Like I watched so much stuff sort of before I was sort of ready for it, and I kind of liked it, and I still kind of like it, but I don't see the need to necessarily do that to my kids or inflict. I mean, here's the way I see it: my kids don't need any help to be nerdy from me. Like
No, I've met you and your wife. Those
Yeah.
kids have no hope.
Yeah, they're doing just fine. In terms of being a little bit nerdy and finding their own interests. The other big thing is like I think it's really important to kind of like crappy stuff to develop good taste.
Yeah.
And so like the whole thing of like I'm going to educate you on like really quality good taste stuff. And it's just like I kind of feel like you have to like some really crappy stuff before you realize why it's crappy and then get into the good stuff. So I'm just like, oh yeah, watch the bad YouTubes. Like like watch the dumb stuff, get super obsessive about something really kind of milk a toast or eye rolly, and then eventually like we'll start talking about it and I don't know. It's we'll see if that strategy pans out. It may not.
I developed a healthy, a diet of, bad movies and whatnot from watching like Mystery Science Theater on Comedy Central with my dad when I was like a teenager. That was one of that and like Pee-wee's Playhouse. Those were our subversive, kitschy, like junior high kind of things to watch.
Nice.
But yeah, it made me what I am today.
Well, speaking of Pee-wee's Playhouse, I discovered Phantasmus on HBO Max. Have you heard about this?
No.
It's this guy, this kind of comedian, Julio Torres, doing weird stream of consciousness sketches with really cool art direction. And it's very Pee-wee's Playhouse. It's definitely the shit to watch when you're stoned. Like it's so good. I think I felt my mind kind of folding in on itself a couple times watching this, and I was just like, man, I kind of want to talk to someone about this. It is super gay. Like it is just the gayest thing ever. It's great if you like gay stuff, which I do, and it's absolutely delightful. It's very subversive. It's very whimsical, and it has a little bit of that like gay fearlessness, where like a lot of comedy, especially right now that you watch, has to like just kind of like watch themselves a bit. But like the gay comedy, no holds barred. It's so good. Just fearless.
It's always nice when you're seeing something, like gay comedy that's clearly aimed at other gay people and they don't have to soft pedal it to the normies. Kind of
I
let their freak flag fly a little more anyway, like your John Waters movies.
It's delightful. If you find yourself like a little curious, I mean the episodes are super bite-sized. They're like half an hour. Just put one on, see if it takes you somewhere. It might. It's pretty cool. But we do have homework for this session. And it's fitting that like this is sort of like our second episode, because our first one was maybe just a vibe check. So it's kind of the bee episode. And so I think we have maybe 2 movies to talk about that are both involve bees. Well, I should say one involves bees and one involves beavers. And you watched both and apparently took some notes. Which one do you want to start with?
Well, I only took notes on Beekeeper. Beavers,
All right.
I just let that one wash over me a couple of times. I needed no distractions from that. One of the notes, it's like cartoon happens to actual human beings.
Yeah, it is. This is Hundreds of Beavers, I assume, and it is literally kind of like an hour and a half long Looney Tunes live action movie that amazingly doesn't manage to get old, and constantly evolves on itself and constantly iterates on its own themes, escalating crazier and crazier until an absolutely wonderful denouement. But let's start with the other one. Let's start with Beekeeper, which I was telling our friend Luke Withrow, I don't know if you know him, about it a couple months ago when I was over in North Carolina, as kind of like the first Purple State action movie.
Yeah.
Like it is a cheeseball action movie, like desperate to grab the zeitgeist by its horns, but still remain weirdly apolitical.
Yeah.
And so it like targets these sort of hilarious annoyances of our world and then escalates it into ludicrousness. And not unlike maybe a Looney Tunes cartoon in and of itself, although not directly. But like just super like high level. Like, what was your impression of Beekeeper? I think maybe I sold it to you a little bit hard, and like later I was kind of like, you know, I could see Max watching this and being all like, "What the fuck was Kieran talking about? This is kind of dumb," because it is kind of dumb.
I fully get it.
Okay,
all in. You don't have to sell me hard on Jason Statham beating people with his bare hands, or whatever office equipment happens to be nearby, for an hour and 45 minutes. That's just, I don't know how I missed this in the theater, quite frankly. I don't know what I was doing, but it certainly wasn't as good as seeing that. I mean, it's sad, but I'm getting to the age now where it's movies, especially, I got a big giant television. I got a really, I got a good home theater setup. This is what I'd spend money on instead of children.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. But I like being able to pause. I go get a drink, go to the bathroom several times. I've seen Furiosa twice now in the span of like a week, and thereby hangs a tale, because I we're watching the movie. I went with my wife, like opening weekend, IMAX, just killer seats, and there was a spot in the movie like, kind of gotta go pee. Feels like nothing's gonna happen for a minute. I think I'm safe to go. Run out.
Yeah.
Run out. The theater's kind of big. It was kind of, a long walk to the restroom. Sure. And then I was like, oh, I should get some popcorn or something. I'm kind of peckish. I get in line. I'm like, this is taking too long. Yeah, I should probably mosey back to the theater. And I get back, and it's right in the middle of the best action scene in the entire movie.
Oof. That's
be
tough. Yeah, especially like dropping 22 or 25 bucks on a ticket, and then like, oh man, I'm only getting 90% of this.
Yeah, it's where that crazy flying guys are attacking.
I haven't seen Furious.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Okay.
So don't spoil it too much. But
okay. There's a crazy car chase in a Mad Max movie.
I would expect, yeah.
Who'd have thunk it? So yeah, like, fast forward to last weekend, I was, sitting around with nothing to do. I'm like, I'm gonna go see it again, and this time I'm going to get that whole scene.
Get my popcorn ahead of time.
I'm watching the movie. I get to a certain point, and I'm starting to feel the urge again. I'm like, okay, I know the bathroom here is like 30 feet away. I can get down there and back in like 2 minutes. I've done it before. And I was like, and I'm pretty sure I've still got a while to go before that scene. So run out to the bathroom, run back. It's the exact same spot. Damn it, I missed it again. So at this point, it's like, all right, I have done my part for this movie's box office. I will wait for home video, and then I can pause to my heart's content. But yeah, so Beekeeper. First of all, hour 45. That was the first thing I noticed when it came up. I'm like, that's the sweet spot.
That's cherry right there. No longer, please.
I mean, 90 minutes, and frankly, I think you padded out a 70-minute short. You know,
Yeah.
Like nobody makes a 90-minute movie anymore. And 2 hours, I mean, 2 hours is fine, but then it's like, you know, there's some fat on there that could have trimmed whatever reason, but hour 45, that's perfect.
All right.
So,
should we give a little synopsis of it?
Sure.
And how like spoiler risky do we want to get?
Well, I don't know. It's been out in the theater. It was, you know, it's already come and gone from the theaters. I think kind of everybody who saw it probably saw it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and give
me.
spoiler warnings. This is also the
Sure.
kind of movie that isn't really ruined by spoilers. Like there's no big surprise or big reveal. It's all and like if you kind of like it's a formulaic action movie. You already know what's going to happen as you're watching it, even if you go in totally sight unseen. So the synopsis, let's see. Jason Statham is a retired agent of a clandestine organization that seems a little kind of like sort of just Secret Service adjacent in some way. It's pretty unclear.
The super secret service.
Yeah. It's so secret nobody knows about them.
Exactly.
They're beekeepers. They're the people that, and it's the usual yada yada. They work outside the law. When the system breaks down, they step in to fix the system. All this kind of stuff. And Jason Statham as an action hero takes this a little bit too literally, and he decides to be an actual honest to God beekeeper, and he decides to kill a whole bunch of people using bees, but all the people are bad and they deserve it. Well, he doesn't actually kill anyone with bees.
Kill anyone with bees.
Yeah, he kills someone with honey, but he talks a lot about bees as he kills people. And, he's interrupted from his like idyllic like retirement of fostering beehives to go on a rampage. And the rampage is triggered.
Called, like Tortured Bee Analogies, the movie. They start rough and they get rougher.
They do. It's really funny.
Well, sometimes when the queen bee is producing bad offspring, one of the soldiers has to kill the queen and make a new queen. So it's like, first of all, does that happen? Second of all,
yeah,
you've taken that a long way. Like.
So the long and the short of it is that I guess Jason Statham's landlady is taken in by a website scammer who cleans out her bank account, including I think like a whole charity like thing that she was running. A couple $1 million, and she's so distraught over this that she just immediately commits suicide. And
no notes,
no
suicide note. She's just like, fuck that, where's my Glock? I'm not calling my FBI daughter who could probably track all this down. I'm like, nope, gun.
There's so many resources.
Her daughter's like, just like nobody loved living more than her. It's like, I don't know about that. I think she was on the fence for a while, and this was just pushed her right over the edge.
We're all concerned.
One bad day away.
We're all concerned about the boomers, right? We're all concerned about the doomerism and the radicalism and the Fox Newsism. A lot of them do seem like they're kind of on an edge. So Jason
Talk to your parents, guys.
Jason Statham decides that he's going to single-handedly take on the scamware industry, which is run like a nightclub business for some reason.
Yeah.
and not in fact like run, I think, by human traffickers in like Thailand, like it really is, unfortunately.
Yeah. A boiler room in Hyderabad. It's like, it's like It's like the Wolf of Wall Street, but with
Yeah.
disco lighting.
I love the call center scenes. Anyway, so he works his way up this chain, this ladder of call centers, and it turns out that this entire call center enterprise essentially goes all the way to the top, and they make a big deal about it going all the way to the top. And the top in this case is the son of the president.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Not
turns
at
out
all
like her
Hunter
entire
Biden.
campaign was bankrolled by scamware.
Even though she was rich,
Sure.
like, her husband, it sounded like they were old money or something. But I gave all the money for your campaign. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm still with you, Beekeeper.
There's some very like low bar classism just to make it like super juicy that these people die. And so Jason Statham works his way all the way up to the president's son, to a big showdown in like the kind of like, I don't know, the Catskills or the like
At the family compound.
The family compound, where
Uh-huh.
for some reason the president and her son are protected by both the Secret Service and also by super sketchy South African mercenaries. There's always South African mercenaries, right? And to the final showdown, we can talk about how it goes down. It's absolutely ridiculous. I called it kind of a purple state action movie because it's like really weirdly trying to like touch on all these like zeitgeisty Hunter Biden-esque oh my gosh, there's so many scams happening in the world right now, tension, and trying to kind of cathartically release it by having Jason Statham knock skulls and burn things to the ground, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. And as transparent as it was, I thought it was just delightful. I was just like, yes, please, more of this. I'm a piggy, I will eat the slop.
Mm-hmm.
But what was your high level takeaway from it? Like the same kind of thing where you're just like, yeah, I kind of know what I'm getting here, and it's perfect. It's sloppy greatness.
It had all of the things that I look for specifically in a Jason Statham movie. The hand waving of his accent when he works for ostensibly, I guess, an American. When the FBI daughter says, "There's some British Isles hiding in your accent,"
not hiding at all, like
an
literally,
elephant hiding in a Volkswagen. He's like the most. Well, crikey. No, yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, well, I was born there. It's like, bitch, you were there 5 minutes ago. You just got off the boat, Statham. Come on. But yeah, it's just one of the things I like. I mean, he kills probably about 100 people in this movie.
Yeah,
and probably 98 of them are just bare hand kills, or using whatever object happens to be within arm's reach of him. I think he kills like one guy with a gun, and that's glorious. I want to see him kicking. I want to see him doing flying kicks, punches, table sawing off people's fingers. He does it all perfect. And just hand wavy intelligence organizations. I like that. Kind of reminded me of Spy, the Melissa McCarthy movie he was in, where it was far more comedic, but also just a great. He's one of our great actors. Let's face it. The guy can do comedy. The guy can do crazy action.
Remember Crank?
Oh,
and Crank 2. Those were seminal is probably a bad word to use for him, because I think there were lots of boners in it. But those were
a lot of boners caused by it.
Yes, exactly. I
remember reading a review. I think it was of Crank or Crank 2 it was like back in the MySpace days on Patton Oswalt's MySpace blog. Going back quite a ways. And he was his like love letter to Jason Statham, and I just remember how it ended. It was like, Statham in all caps, scream it while coming.
I feel like
not wrong.
I feel like I could posit a theory that the Crank movies were a tipping point for America rejecting the war on drugs. I just think it was just like you watch that movie and you're just like, why do we hate drugs so much? Like, this is ridiculously great. Like we have an action hero who's on drugs so much that he's going to die if he stops killing people.
Yep. It's great. But they're movies by, for, and about drugs.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sure the Neville Dean and Taylor guys, they're probably rip shit quite a bit in the making of this. I was rip shit watching it, and it's about a guy who's rip shit the entire time. So yeah, it's
Thank you for backing up my theory. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, Beekeeper, if Crank was a movie for the early aughts, America reckoning with its war on drugs, feels like, let's see, Beekeeper is maybe America reckoning with a non-regulated scam culture and, I don't know, just general conspiratorial like nonsense. Like just this theory that everybody in power has to be bad. Everything is, and this is a theory that in a lot of ways is shared by both the left and the right. Like if you're trying to make a 4-quadrant movie that appealed to everybody in our divisive, polarized times, like you just go straight for this. It's just, you just find the things that everybody hates, like scammers and just the assumption that like, yeah, there's all these nefarious powers out there just designed to dehumanize us and take advantage of us. So a ridiculously cradled fundamental truth there.
Yeah, I mean it's it's based on a real problem in society. Like elder fraud is a huge problem. I used to work in bank security and in bank fraud, doing like check counterfeits and check kiting and stolen checks, on the good guy side. Not the frosted tips gatherer Biden side. But yeah, this was 12, 13 years ago, and I imagine, from what I understand, it's even worse now. They have so many more weapons at their disposal.
Yeah.
And I mean, back then you actually had to get somebody's checkbook or have somebody's paper check. And when was the last time you wrote a paper check for anything? Now it's, if you have somebody's passwords, you could do exactly what these guys do.
Well, our accounts are so distributed, right? There's so many companies out there that have like chargeable permissions and like, how many apps, the Venmo, PayPal,
people not practicing good password security, all that stuff. I mean, there's a world where I think this movie should be shown to old people, but no, I would say show them the whole thing. They need to know this stuff, just preface it by saying, just remember, Grandma and Grandpa, there is no Statham out there to, avenge you. You just have to, you're on your own here. But yeah, it's a real problem. But what I love is that everything in this movie, except kind of Statham, like, is the surreality is just cranked way up. I mean, the bad guys are just ridiculously over the top. You've got the guy running it is doing the whole like Wolf of Wall Street, like microphone thing to his like army of underlings. I
don't think
hey, everybody watch what I'm about to do. Yeah.
I don't think there's a single shot of him where he's not either having just like done a line or he's just about to do one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, I mean, the sets are bizarre. The characters are just cranked way up. I mean, Josh Hutcherson, the big bad guy, frosted tips. I was like, when's the last time you saw somebody with frosted tips? Is that still a thing? I mean, but it's good to know it's still in 2024. It's a universal code for douchebag. Evil douchebag. It never wasn't. They're like, I think like the first guy with frosted tips got away with it. Everyone after him is like, oh no, this guy's going to steal your credit cards or something. He's going to slip you Rohypnol.
He played a human Ed Hardy shirt. Like
Yeah.
it was just
Affliction, the dude.
Yeah. There is a weird out of touchness of like the sleazebag kind of archetype where I think you can really kind of go with like you just sort of assume that like the folks that are out there driving cyber trucks are just kind of like they're a little bit behind the times. They're just like there's a little bit out of touch. They're like living like 10 years ago on like just old paradigms, and they just don't have a sense of the pulse, which is kind of weird because I think so much of con artistry and scamming really requires like a high level of that kind of awareness. But I think you can rat around that now using the internet. You can figure out people's vulnerabilities without ever having to figure out people.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know. That
Well,
sounds
especially when you have secret CIA software that.
That's right. How do you feel about Jeremy Irons' presence and role in this movie?
That accent was. I feel like he was trying to bring back like the mid-Atlantic, like Cary Grant accent or something. Not quite English, definitely not quite American. It's just like it's the aristocratic accent or something. But yeah, always a mark of quality when Jeremy Irons shows up, and he's just when he shows up, I'm always been a fan, but when he really sinking his teeth into a role like that, make a meal of it.
He's a very reliable scene chewer.
Oh yeah,
he doesn't chew much scene.
He's sort of the voice of reason for the bad guys.
Yeah, and he gets out of it with I think only a broken finger.
Yeah. Yeah, men like you are why you need men like me.
So the denouement of the movie, he's managed to work his way all the way up to the president and her son, and they've been sort of like promising a little bit with this bad bee analogy that when the bee goes when the queen goes rogue, the bee the special
produces
bee has
faulty offspring.
Yeah, faulty offspring. The fail son initiative it comes into play, and you're sort of struck with this question of are they gonna is he gonna do that?
Initiate the Roger Clinton
is he gonna
protocol.
Kill the president? And the sort of secondary question as you're watching it is are these filmmakers gonna let him kill the president? Are they really gonna go that far? Yeah. And they cop out of it. They have the fail son, who's in such a drug addled, he's totally flipping out at this point because he knows that he's doomed because Jason Statham has finally caught up to him, and he turns his gun on his mom. and then Jason Statham kills him and spares the mom, who now of course has to run the country just having had her son assassinated in front of her.
God, that was she was ready to roll over on him.
She was so exasperated of it. She was so sick of his shit.
Oh yeah, she was like, I'm going to tell people the truth. You're running a criminal enterprise, and I inadvertently took that money to run for president, and you laundered it through my campaign, and yada yada, and then the Secret Service leading her away, screaming hysterics because she just saw her baby boy get head blown off by this thumb-like Englishman.
And then, of course, Jason jumps out of a window and escapes, and returns
after
to
being
quiet, retired life.
Stabbed in the abdomen.
Oh yeah,
perforated a kidney or something, and then he's finds a scuba, a whole thing, a bag full of scuba gear.
Yeah,
and swims off into the distance. That's the best sequel setup I've ever seen. Just like, yep, he's out there swimming, bleeding to death.
Where could they go with a sequel for this? I don't know if they could go anywhere.
I have some ideas.
Oh, let's hear him. Oh my gosh, let's do Hollywood Shop for him.
Okay, so at first okay, he's a lowercase b beekeeper who also happens to be a capital B beekeeper.
Yeah.
And it raised some questions like, okay, did he just decide to lean into it after he retires? Like, well, I've got all of these bee analogies. I may as well put them to good use. But then one of, I would say my third favorite character in the movie, my first favorite is obviously Statham. My second favorite is South African giant, also dressed in yellow and black, bee colors, perfect.
Yes.
Who is just thoroughly insane. But is when they send, they send the new beekeeper after Statham.
God,
and she looks like a character out of a Cyberpunk 2020 game.
Yeah.
She's got like cool, like 80s punk hair, mirror shades. She's got a minigun in the back of her truck. And just like completely over the top, clearly has cyber psychosis.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then and then they, he chucks
she's the one that gets killed by a jar of honey. Yeah.
Yeah. Honey is apparently napalm. I didn't know that my cupboard is like basically John Wick's basement. But then they're going, the police later, the FBI, they're going through the charred remains of this gas station that he blew up, killing her, and they find a Beekeeping for Dummies book in her car. Like, she's a lowercase b.
She's kind of a beekeeper intern, perhaps. She's just learning the ropes.
But it got me thinking. It's like, okay, if every capital B beekeeper is also a lowercase b beekeeper, I don't know another way of putting it other than the case. Maybe every beekeeper is a beekeeper. You go down to the farmer's market and the hippies selling beeswax candles to you, really like Delta Force level operators. The farmer's market is just full of tier 1 operators, and this is their cover, is selling organic fruit, grass-fed beef,
so you think honey. So maybe they should lean into the whole like clandestine society, kind of like how like John Wick movies gotten more and more like gothic and architected around the secret society of assassins and coins.
Every other person in New York City is a paid assassin. Everyone at the farmer's market. I'm talking the farmer's market cinematic universe.
All right, I think I'm sold.
Yeah.
Well, let's be conscious of time. Let's move on to Hundreds of Beavers.
Yeah.
And so
I loved the movie. I probably won't have a lot to say about it because it's just watch it. It's amazing. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen.
So yeah, I think we described earlier Hundreds of Beavers as being kind of like a live action Looney Tunes. It's actually in a way so much more than that. It is a stud. So it is a modern, mostly silent movie.
Yeah.
In black and white,
dialogueless movie. I mean,
pretty much dialogue,
music and lots of sound effects.
And it is the story of kind of like it's a little bit like Comedy Revenant. Like it's the story of like one man's journey to become a trapper in the far wilderness, except that all the animals are just dudes standing around in mascot animal outfits, and Looney Tunes logic applies to all the traps.
Yep.
And so there's kind of this greater kind of tale. There's a little bit of a romance as like the fur merchant's daughter, like he's trying to kind of get in with her. And then there's this sort of growing mystery because he's mostly after rabbit and sort of these different pelts, but he's also kind of occasionally going after beavers, but the beavers are kind of smart. And there's a great pair of beaver detectives that are sort of following his every move, and in the background the beavers are constantly building bigger and bigger, like a bigger and bigger dam. that
Yeah.
gets into like, well, this is a movie we shouldn't spoil. Unlike Beekeeper.
No, yeah.
Beekeeper is fairly spoiler proof. Like you kind of know what you're getting into when you're getting into it. Hundreds of Beavers has so many wonderful, delightful surprises, and like I said, so much good escalation of its own premises on itself. And my kids loved it because it's almost like speaking like Minecraft language in a certain way. Like it has a fun video game sensibility of a survival crafting game of like, oh, this guy is out in the wilderness, his apple orchard burned down, and he's trying to survive as a trapper, and he's figuring out that like one, I don't know, what is it? One pelt gets you a knife, and then the knife gets you 2 pelts, and then 2
The
pelts will
weapon
get you to
select
like
screen from the trailer.
Oh, it's great. It's great. And
Perfect.
and the escalation of the items results in the fact that you actually don't get the title of the movie till I think like 2/3 of the way through the movie. It finally says hundreds of beavers, because that's the final prize for him to like romance the merchant's daughter.
Right.
And I don't know, the other level of appreciation for me, and I'm sorry if I'm dominating the conversation a little bit, is being a little bit in the world of motion graphics and After Effects and compositing, and this is one of those movies where I'm enthralled and enchanted by it, because it's like I can both immediately feel like, oh my god, I could totally do this. Like this is so simple and fun. And at the exact same time being like, oh my god, I could never do this. Like this is so clever and crafted and careful in its construction, that like it's just so weird to be like both like, oh, it's one of those things where you're just like, oh, this is so simple and lovely and a little bit easy, and you kind of see that like all the corners that they were cutting, and they were just kind of like trying to like kind of riff on themselves, and it's kind of rare in our world. It feels like that you stumble upon that delightful intersection of simplicity and doability with like cleverness and almost in danger of hyping up too much, like a certain level of genius. It's really quite wonderful.
Oh no, it's I mean, I thought it was completely genius, and I mean, it didn't even strike me as like that simple. Like, I mean, it's, I read about like how thoroughly storyboarded every single shot, in like they kind of had to, because everything is so intricate to get, from the start of one scene to the end of it, involves all these bizarro kind of stunts. And, it is like, and I think they said they spent like 150,000, which, I mean, it's all up there.
I mean, yeah.
And
that's like David Zaslav's like pocket change.
Right. It's the bonus he'll get this year for not showing us Catwoman, or Batwoman rather.
Totally.
Yeah, but it's how edit this part out, because I'm clearly
it's all good.
Brain bump there. Just how much kind of stagecraft and preparation went into everything. And he said it took several years to make, and I have the feeling it's the kind of thing where it was like you'd call up your buddies on the weekend, hey, want to put on a mascot costume? I mean, the funny thing is, like, he was saying that it all kind of started with he and the main guy from the movie, the main character, the actor, it was just like an idea they had, at the bar. And I guarantee, like you said, Revenant, I guarantee that it was like, hey, what if we did the Revenant mascot costumes for like the bear and, all the animals? And I think it kind of rolled from there, but it's, it's so perfect the way, like, it's not just Looney Tunes. You see a lot of like, Marx Brothers, you see a lot of Three Stooges in it. You see, I mean, even going back to like Méliès or the Lumieres, and some of these really kind of intricate camera tricks they do to, I mean, it's hard to explain, but you know it when you see it, these camera tricks or these playing with the depth of the field and in certain shots, and that was my excuse to talk about the Méliès and Lumieres. Thank you. I had a film class once. I remember a couple of things, but yeah, it was just I like all of that put to just crazy mindless slapstick. All all of the tools of modern filmmaking, plus like a guy who's willing to go naked in the snow for a few shots, does not give a shit at all, and you can make a movie like that, so it's not just, having After Effects. You got to kind of have, this vision in mind, and then have people willing to do this crazy shit. I mean, like you would say, like when the guy rolls down a snowy hill in a wooden box, you have to have a guy who's willing to do that. Because there's not really a way to trick that. They certainly don't have the budget to do that completely in post. A guy is going to have to get in a box and roll down a snowy hill.
Man, I hope that guy's career takes off. Like, he put in the work.
Everyone involved.
And he is an amazing performance. Carried the movie in a lot of ways. Yeah.
I mean, in a lot of ways, it's like I don't want them to get like huge, multi-picture deals. I want somebody to just give them, here's $1 million. Though your last movie cost 150, here's $1 million. Go do something with it, because a guy like that knows how to stretch a dollar, and if especially if you don't need it to come out next week, if you can have a couple years to really construct something. I can't wait to see the next thing. I got to go back and see was it the Lake Michigan Monster? Or
that was
our friend Sean was telling me about it, and then
Sean was saying good things, and his taste aligns with mine pretty solidly. Cool.
So go see both.
Yes, I think if you go see The Beekeeper, don't have a drink, shrug it off, imbibe a bit, and just roll with it, and you'll have a great time.
Let the violence wash over you like a.
And hundreds of beavers. I would encourage. I mean, maybe watch the trailer just to set yourself up for what it is, but actually maybe go in a little bit blind, and you'll probably be charmed to pieces. It's delightful.
I showed my wife the preview just to give her the idea.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, because I'd already watched it. And I showed it to her, and she's like, this was the closest thing to like feeling like you're on drugs without actually being on drugs, is watching that movie stone cold sober. And it's just like, it's just shit you've never seen before happening on screen. You've never seen something like that. It's, it basically, it's Looney Tunes. It's Elmer Fudd eventually killing Bugs Bunny and becoming the greatest hunter. He just Elmer Fudd getting just outsmarted left and right by Bugs Bunny until eventually he figures out how to kill Bugs Bunny and then every bunny. Yeah,
I think that's a great way.
That's up your alley. I know it's up mine
to sell it. What are we gonna watch or play for next week?
Boy, not a lot of good nerd fodder, I think, coming out this week. I mean, there's Inside Out too, but I don't think we need to talk about that. They don't need our help.
I don't think we need to just explore anything new. I think we can go back to classics, go back to cult stuff. I'm trying to think what I've been. We don't necessarily need to decide this on air. We can we can discuss it offline.
Sure.
Cool. Well, maybe we should just call that a pod.
All right. So where can the audience find you?
Oh, are we doing pluggables?
Oh, I think we should do the plugs.
It's not a podcast without
we are
pluggables.
Professionals.
No, I think we're both super shy. Don't come find us, please.
Please come find me. I'm a shameless exhibitionist.
Oh God. I don't know. I don't have anything pluggable.
Okay, well, I'm Shiny Failure on X, the Everything app, on Instagram, on whatever. I always whatever social media platform comes along, I'm able to scoop that up. Shiny failure, all one word.
Perfect. And I'm
And,
usually Cobalt style, all one word as well.
Yeah, you are.
I've totally left X Twitter, but I still poke around on Blue Sky, and
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
I
I'm
keep an
there.
eye on Instagram, but that's more because I professionally have to.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have a good week, everyone, and have a good
Indeed.
week, Kieran.
Peace out. Cheers.
All right.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. All right.